Hello, Patriots. I'm Lee Watts, and this is Patriot Point, your source for Kentucky news and analysis from a conservative, Christian, and common sense point of view. Well, this week we're going to be looking at how Andy Beshear continues to amaze me.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not kidding. He's just amazing, but not in a good way. It's amazingly bad. Andy Beshear is in hot water, it turns out, for some atrocious comments that he just made. He made comments that have to do with suggesting the wife and daughter of Trump's VP pick, J.D. Vance, should maybe be raped. This comments have gone viral, and so because it is so incredibly offensive in his statements. We have had multiple members of the Kentucky State Legislature have put out public statements and comments calling for Andy Beshear to publicly apologize for such atrocious statements. Notice what these senators have publicly said. We were shocked to hear Governor Andy Beshear embarrass Kentucky on the national stage this morning. His implication that one of his political opponent's family should endure unspeakable pain and trauma simply because of his pro-life convictions is unbecoming of the governor of Kentucky. And then they go on in their statements condemning him for what he has done. Feel free to pause the video and read that full statement if you like. But Andy Beshear has not only grievously messed up with his words, he's messing up with the money. Remember this, there is no such thing as state money. It's your money. The Bible tells us in the book of Luke, chapter number 16, that there was a steward who was wasting the money of the guys who it really belonged to, and so a public account was asked for. So let's give a little account of what Andy Beshear's been doing with your money. Well, this was really amazing, first off, in a bad way. Under Beshear's administration, there's this show about some people from Kentucky called 1,000-Pound Sisters, not portraying Kentuckians in a good way. These people have just been allowed to get $2,300,000 of tax benefits. And that's money that we could have used for other things, but instead, we're spending more than $2 million on just this show, which is not necessarily good for the image of Kentuckians.
Are you kidding me?
Let's look at another thing, which is just amazing in a bad way. This month, under Andy Beshear's administration, Kentucky has awarded a contract to spend $11 million for COVID testing. No, you are not watching a rerun of some program from the year 2020. This is 2024. Why are we still playing this game? That's right. Under Beshear's administration, Kentucky just awarded a contract for $11 million in COVID testing.
Are you kidding me?
Not COVID treatments or prevention, just the testing of it. Absolutely crazy. Let's talk about a huge scandal that you are not hearing about on the mainstream media, dealing with the way that Andy Beshear is misusing Kentucky's money. This really should, I hope this gets caught up by all the mainstream media in the state. He has appointed a guy who was one of his campaign contributors, a man by the name of Jim Gray. He appointed him to be his transportation department secretary. Now, keep this in mind. Mr. Gray owns a construction company. Before he was given this appointment by Andy Beshear in the year 2019, his company had revenues of $172 million. Good for him. However, ever since Andy Beshear appointed him to become the transportation secretary, all of a sudden last year his profits went up to more than $1 billion in revenue.
Are you kidding me?
Now, think about this. The rest of the economy for the last 3.5 years has been taking a nosedive. But Andy Beshear appoints this guy, and then all of a sudden in 3 years, his company's revenues increase by more than 700%. Yes, this is a major problem with the way he is handling the money and giving it to his campaign contributors through jobs and payoffs and contracts. This is nothing unusual. Remember, back in 2020, Andy Beshear just declared that he was going to remove the Jefferson Davis statue from the Capitol. Whether you think the statue should be removed or not, nobody can argue with he had no legal authority to do that, as the governor is a guest of the Capitol, not in control of it. And why the job to remove the statue should cost approximately $5,000. He awarded this contract to his campaign contributors at a no-bid contract. Nobody else was even allowed to bid for it. And he awarded this no-bid contract with no legal authority, that should cost $5,000, and he gave it to his campaign contributors at a cost of $225,000 of Kentucky taxpayer money.
Are you kidding me?
So we got some major problems here. The laws being broken repeatedly. Again, back in the year 2020, Andy Beshear, on his own, without legislative authority, took out a loan in the state of Kentucky's name for $865 million. Now, this is a direct violation of Section 49 of the Kentucky Constitution, which does not allow the governor to incur debt for the state that has not been approved by the legislature. So again, this is a problem. He's misusing the money. We're not seeing any justice because of this. There's also construction going on at the Kentucky State Capitol, and it does need some construction. It has some renovations which do need to take place. However, we're seeing this is not being done in an efficient or a good way whatsoever, and the project is, with 3 years left, still is already more than 500% over budget. Right now, the reconstruction project is going to be costing more than $300 million. I think I could have found a better way to spend some of Kentucky taxpayer money. The entire building, Capitol building, only cost $1.8 million to build originally. Now, that was back in the early 1900s. If you adjust that for inflation, it'd be about $62 million today. So how come you could build the whole thing for $62 million, but you're having to renovate it for more than $300 million? I'd really like to get a list of how many of his campaign contributors are doing that job as well. So he's just throwing the money around like crazy, awarding it to people that are getting millions of dollars, taxes that could have been used for our schools and our roads, to push things which are not making Kentuckians look good, and just wasting the money of the people. In 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse number 2, it says that, moreover, it is required in stewards that a man be found faithful. And I'm not seeing good, faithful stewardship of Kentucky taxpayer money. And as Andy Beshear himself is fond of saying, Andy, you can't be doing that. Well, this is what we've got going on this week. Before we sign off this week, I want to give a shout out to one of my fellow YouTuber channels. It's a YouTube channel by the name of Luminous Libro. They do book reviews, and I want to shout them out this week because they just did a review of my most recent book that I've written called The Quest of the Dragon's Princess. If you'd like to see the review that this channel put up, then I'll put a link in the description of this video. Well, that's the news we have for this week. So until next week, I'm Lee Watts for Patriot Point, reminding you that liberty is not a spectator sport.
Are you kidding me?